Hello everybody. In our last video we talked about Tyr, so I thought it would be kinda cute if we talked about the gentleman who took Tyr's hand, that being Fenrir. So we're gonna do a little bit of a Fenrir build today, talk about how to build Fenrir, how to play him in the game, what you're looking for, etc. So let's go ahead and get into the builder and get away from this creepy looking monocle. As far as your starter item goes, Death Toll is pretty much a must-have onto Fenrir. That early game damage that you're putting out on Fenrir, level 3 hitting a huge spike with your Brutalize, doing tons of damage, 99% of the time go Death Toll. Looking into your first real item, you pretty much got to get Midas Boots. Warrior Tabi once again is okay if you can get really far ahead, but most of the time you're not going to get that far ahead, so you need to get that Midas Boot. As far as your core items go, Hide of the Urchin is great on assassin supports, tanky, mana, everything you need. Sovereignty, of course, core item for support, and then Magi's Blessing. Those three you can't really get away from. If you're going to go into a damage item, you can think of these following three. Jotun's Wrath for cooldown to get your crowd control off more often. Shifter's Shield is a great item. You get tanky / damage hybrid, as well as Void Shield, which is the same thing. Get Void Shield, maybe if you have a lot of physical damage, they have a lot of physical damage. Both of those situations work great for getting Void Shield. As far as other items go, you see I have Magi's Blessing on here again, because if you don't get it here, you better get it here. You better get it twice. It's amazing. You need it on Fenrir. You have no way to secure objectives. Trying to make a point here, get Magi's Blessing. Especially on assassin supports. You have no real way to secure anything. As far as other defensive items go, Runeforged Hammer might be pretty good. You're already building a lot of physical defense, so that'll give you a little bit more damage on your skills. And then, of course, situational if you need Pestilence, Witchblade, etc. As far as your actives go, Wrath of the Gods, of course. Some people like Blink on Fenrir. If you blink into a fight and start attacking somebody and then they use their skill to get away, then you can jump on top of them, so they can't really get away from you. Really annoying, not necessarily the most effective for support. I prefer Shield of Absorption most of the time if I can. Going into our abilities, what is Fenrir's passive? Every time you have a successful auto attack, you build up a rune. Once you get to 5 runes, each of your skills will do an additional aspect. So, what are our skills? Our first skill, which is a skill we're going to rank up first at level 1, it's your getaway skill as well, so you can get it right out the gate as soon as you spawn in the game. This is your jump. You jump to a target, it does quite a bit of damage, really good scaling, and if you have 5 runes up, you get a 1-second stun. Also, if you hit an enemy god, the cooldown is halved of the skill, which is really, really good. That means the skill has about a 7-second cooldown without cooldown reduction, assuming you actually hit the skill. Your 2, which you're going to rank up last on Fenrir support, you won't be getting this almost at all. This is called Seething Howl, a very good end game skill. Increases your physical power and gives you physical lifesteal for X amount of seconds, 6 seconds. It does really good towards the end of the game, giving you a lot of power and lifesteal. Towards the beginning of the game, it's not going to be a big deal. Your other skills are going to do a lot more base damage. If you have 5 runes, it's 50% increase on the buff, which means it's almost 100 physical power. In fact, I think just over like 50% lifesteal. You're looking at crazy stats from that. Makes Fenrir actually a valuable endgame character for not necessarily a support role, though. Brutalize, your bread and butter. This is going to be the skill that you rank up to max first. Then you're going to rank up your 1 first, Brutalize first, Unchained second, Ragnarok third, last Seething Howl. So what does Brutalize do? You use it on a target, it pretty much auto-targets for you. You smack them 4 times. If you have full runes, you're doing AoE damage as well, about 75% AoE damage. You typically do not want to use your 5 runes on Brutalize. You're going to want to use that on Unchained or your Seething Howl at the end of the game. Ragnarok, one of the coolest skills in the game. You grow into a giant dog, you become CC immune, you pick somebody up in your mouth and then you can bring them, you can hold them still, you can wiggle them around, whatever. Generally what you want to do is you want to jump on somebody with 5 runes, stun them with your 1, use your ultimate, you can pick them up before the stun ends, and then your ADC or your mage or whoever's by you can kill them while you hold them in your mouth. If you do have full runes, you get double the protections that normally you get in the stance. Not a big deal. You're really looking to use your 5 runes in your 1 so you get the stun off. So who do we really want to play Fenrir against? Well, he's really good with Neith and AMC. Neith has a root, he does a lot of damage, great. AMC has a slow, he does a lot of damage, great. You're kind of wasting him with an Apollo Rama one of those characters where you want to go super aggressive, so if you're playing passive in the lane, it doesn't really transition. A character that does work well with Fenrir, but you have to be careful, is Anher on your team. If you use Anher's Impale while brutalizing, it will stop the brutalize, so you just have to make sure that you're very coordinated with your ADC so you don't waste the brutalized damage. As far as other supports that he's good against, he's great against other assassin supports, Nezha, Thor, etc. He's pretty good against warrior supports as well. He has a hard time against characters like Athena and Sylvanas. Both of those characters can interrupt your brutalize pretty easily. Athena having an easier opportunity to interrupt it than Sylvanas. And the other character you need to be careful against is Geb. Geb can't interrupt necessarily your brutalize as easy, but what Geb can do is shield the ADC out of your ultimate. So if you're going against a Geb in the lane, you have to make sure that you're ultimating the Geb because he can't shield himself to stop it. So let's go ahead and get ourselves into this game. Not grabbing any wards here at the start of the game. This is going to allow us to get 5 health potions as well as 3 mana pots. Very common start for assassin supports is to not get any wards. This is because you're really going to need those extra potions in the laning phase in order to play with the aggressive style that you really want to. On the chaos side of the map, doing our typical start, making sure we hit the mid harpies to get credit for them, going to do the back harpies to hit us level 2, moving over towards the blue buff right now. This will allow us to hit level 3 once we get this first wave from the lane. So, this is a ranked game. I only do footage from ranked games now, and I promise this is a ranked game, and we are going against the famous, absolutely famous Nezha x Blanc lane. These guys are convinced, apparently, that this is the lane to be, so we're about to find out. Well, no problem here. I'm going to put as much pressure on these guys as I can. I'm putting Brutalize already on the x Blanc. He is already down to about 15% HP. This is one of those things with Fenrir that you can really put early aggression on. Brutalize at level 3 is extremely hard hitting, especially if you're a level above the opposing enemy. At this point, I'm not necessarily doing anything in the jungle, but I'm off in the jungle, gets me off the map, makes their middle lane nervous. They don't know if I'm doing their speed buff, they don't know where I am, and it's going to give me an opportunity to come back into the lane from behind them and look for ganking opportunities. Perhaps they might even come into the jungle looking for me, etc. But X-Blanc has used his getaway skill, but that doesn't matter. I know Nezha has absolutely no way to walk away from this, and so I'm going to go ahead and use my skills on the Nezha instead of the X-Blanc. You might think, well, you probably could have killed the X-Blanc. True, but the Nezha was a guaranteed kill. He was still level 2. Nezha has no movement abilities. Even though XB had already used his, he's already moving faster anyway. Oleg's coming in, trying to put some pressure on. I jump in the air, assuming she's going to go for me because I was pretty low health. But she doesn't, so whatever. This X-Blanc is playing with fire by staying right here, and we're going to go ahead and finish him off. Being way too aggressive right there with a Fenrir that close to him, only being level 3. Poseidon has made his way over to the ADC lane. This means that we've pretty much seen everybody in the map so far. Everybody except for the solo lane has already been to our lane, so that's pretty exciting. That's when you know that you're doing a good job in the duo lane, is when their whole team rotates to you, and then your team is like, I guess I'll just like stand here and do whatever. Unfortunately, he couldn't quite grab him with the last snipe, but I'm going to be able to grab him with my skills. Getting a bit too over-aggressive here on the Nezha. I pick him up looking for the kill on him. A very good universal ring toss from the Nezha, bouncing off of just me, and the Rama is going to go ahead and get me killed here. But that's alright. We are so far ahead in this lane in terms of XP and gold right now. Not a big deal. So this is that early stage part of the game where Fenrir is doing very strongly. Your Brutalize hits for a ton. Your jump is hitting for a ton. As you can see, I didn't put any points into my 2. Don't put any points in your 2 until the very end of the game, essentially. Your 1 base damage and your 3 base damage is going to be plenty for you, especially because you're not building into damage items. Your auto attacks aren't going to be hitting that hard, so you want to abuse your early game base damage. Jumping in here, hogging and taking these mid-harpies from them, I can continue the aggression using my Brutalize, taking this Poseidon down to under half health. I was hoping my team would be closer, looking for an opportunity for kills, but they weren't quite in position enough. My Nemesis, unfortunately, is going to get pulled by a good combination from the Awilix and the Poseidon here. And he will suffer for that mistake. Putting some emphasis here on the fact that as a assassin support, even warrior support, but more so in the assassin role, you're really almost a second jungler. You want to get your lane ahead early so your ADC can be by themselves and not have any problems. After that, you're pretty much just looking to go around and grabbing kills, feeding your lanes as much as you can. Xblanc is pushed pretty far up. He does not know that I am here, and we're going to be able to get a pretty easy kill here. Picking him up and standing him right over here. Our Rama goes ahead, picks up the kill. Rama's now level 8, which puts him 2 levels over the Xblanc. Xblanc, one of those characters that really needs to snowball in order for him to be effective, so he's going to be in a lot of trouble. Just putting some free damage onto this Neja. I use my Brutalize, forcing him to use his ultimate on me. I shouldn't be in any real danger here as long as I play this correctly. The Poseidon is going extremely deep for me. This man wants me. Uses his ultimate on me, hits it just at the edge of the center, but it is not quite enough to kill me. I live with 15 hit points, which is 14 more than I needed to live. Obviously, I did that calculation in my head, and so I knew I was fine. Wasn't even nervous at all. Grabbing some more wards here. Don't need necessarily to pick up 2 wards. I already have 1 ward in a location that I need, so I only need to bring up 1. That allows me to save some money here so I can get my tier 3 hog a little bit earlier than spending all this money on wards. Game is about even right now. 6 minutes in. That's not necessarily what we want. You want to be more ahead. If you're playing an assassin support, while I am individually ahead and my lane is ahead, the other lanes aren't necessarily as ahead as would be preferred. A lot of pressure coming out here on the Nemesis, but this is not necessarily a bad fight for us. So we're going to go ahead and engage here, hitting 2 with my stun, putting a lot of pressure onto this Xblanc. I don't want to necessarily have to use my ult there to snatch the kill, but I'm going to have to because the Poseidon Whirlpool was going to keep me out long enough. Hitting another double stun on the Poseidon and the Neja. I am actually in a terrible position now that the Awilix is here, but I can go ahead and hop out this way. I had NPCs there. They die as I get there, of course, because that would be too easy to not. But now there's an Osiris out of nowhere, and I am in a lot of trouble. Osiris, one of those characters that does extremely well at killing anything in the game. But my Rama comes by and saves me because he's a super nice guy. I get smacked again by the Osiris. Quick note there, I was looking at my inventory, not paying attention. It's hard not to sometimes, but you really shouldn't open up your inventory until you're already back. Force will have it to open it up as the back animation, recall animation's ending. Really shouldn't do that. Was a misplay on my part. I could have honestly died right there because I wasn't paying attention. Make sure you don't make that mistake. It happens to everybody, but try your best to capitalize and not do that. Trying to see if these Harpies are up. I don't know if they are. Of course, they're not because that would be too easy. But as you can see, I've got a pretty big lead right now, but this lead is going to start to diminish relatively quickly. Using a Brutalize on that Poseidon just to get some relatively free damage off. I can stop the Brutalize. You can right-click in the Brutalize animation to stop it before you get all 4 hits off. This means I could get 3 hits off and then stop it before the 4th one, which would have put me inside the tower range, so I didn't have to worry about dying there. It's about this point in the game where Fenrir starts to kind of teeter. Because I'm not in a role that has a ton of experience and a ton of gold, and I'm building defensively, my damage is okay. My defenses are not that good right now. And so it's this time period of around 10 minutes where you have to be very careful on Fenrir. The whole point of Fenrir is obviously to be that very aggressive in nature, but this is where you're going to start to die, and you need to make sure that your team is cleaning up after you die. You're going to die. It's going to happen. It's just part of the nature of Fenrir. Until we get our sovereignty, we're going to be very squishy. Being an assassin, having assassin-based stats, that's going to put us behind in the health/defense department. It does put us ahead in terms of damage, but it's not necessarily damage all the time that we're looking at. A very scattered fight right now. This is not exactly going how we want it. They have a bunch of characters extremely low, but we're not really capitalizing on anything, and we're in a very bad position as they are now coming back into the fight. Neja landing a very good ring toss onto us, putting a lot of pressure on it. Willick's doing a very good jump, and this fight has gone south very quickly. Need to be very careful about chasing people. This is a good point to make on that, is when even if they're all low HP, you gotta pick a target and make sure you finish somebody off, because if you get everybody down to 10% HP and then you die, it doesn't matter. You would have rather get killed 2 people and then they probably couldn't have turned the fight on you as quickly. So it's officially to that point where we're not really where we want to be, right? On Fenrir, 3, 2, and 5, our score is okay. We got our ADC really far ahead, so that's good. But we don't have sovereignty yet. We haven't even started building it. We can get the tier 1, but we wanted to get out to make sure we could help our ADC. If he started to move towards us, that was more important than necessarily staying and buying the tier 1 and looking for the sovereignty and all that stuff. Making sure to capitalize on this opportunity, trying to take their blue buff. They got the Gold Fury, but there's no reason why we can't do some damage ourselves. XBlanc doesn't have beads as far as I'm aware, so we're putting a lot of pressure on him here, and we're going to get a free kill onto this XB. Making the best of the situation where they got the Gold Fury, we were returning by taking their blue buff, looking for their speed buff, grabbing a kill on XB, Rama's pushing their right tower, that kind of thing. Willix is pretty far out of position, honestly. She's trying to do a lot of stuff to get away, but we might be able to kill her here. Jumping into the tower to get this kill on her. I'm going to end up dying for this, but it's a support for the jungle, and that is worth it. If you can kill their jungle as a support, as long as there's not a big objective up, in this case the Gold Fury was already down, they had already gotten it, so there was nothing big that I was going to lose from this. They're not going to go do Fire Giant, so it was worth it for me to put their jungler behind so my jungler can try to get ahead or catch up depending on the situation, and that allows them to go ahead and carry compared to I can't really carry out of this role. We now are on the tier 2 Iron Mail, working our way towards that sovereignty. We're getting closer to it, so we're starting to get a little bit tankier. We can start to make those aggressive plays that we've been doing without necessarily dying. We got to be still careful, though. We haven't finished it yet, and we really need to finish sovereignty before we start getting into that. One thing about assassin support as well is a lot of the times people will try to focus you. Even though you're the support, they see Fenrir, they see Thor, they see Neja, and they go, oh, that's a damage character. And so they tend to focus you because they think you're going to do a lot of damage. And you'll do okay damage, but you don't necessarily do as much damage as you would if you were in the other role, like jungle, solo, whatever. This is actually great in terms of team fights. They're putting a lot of pressure on you, which means your team is free to go around beating them with the actual damage while you're just kind of soaking up some stuff. Getting out the 2 strategic wards for my Rama. He shouldn't have to be that afraid of a gank. Rama actually a great character to go against Willix. His jump is not a jump, it's a dash, and so Willix can't pull him because he doesn't actually go in the air. Putting pressure onto Poseidon. Poseidon uses his beads, uses his whirlpool to stop me from killing him. The Poseidon turns around and ults me, but the Neja ults me into the air, accidentally saving me. I would have died had he let that ult hit me and then ultied me. But I will take it. I like that miscommunication there on the other team. It has saved my life. One thing to note on Fenrir is you always want to keep track of your runes. You see it right there above the character portrait. You want to make sure that you have 5 runes up if possible when going into a team fight. You may see me at some point attacking minions outside of a team fight, even if it's already started, because I don't have 5 runes up. It's really wasteful if you don't have your stun up on your 1. That's pretty much all of your initiation on Fenrir is that stun off of your 1. Also have to be aware to not accidentally use, say, your Brutalize with your 5 runes instead of your jump. You have to keep track of how many runes you have at all times. XBlanc may be under tower, but he has no actual way to get away from us. The pretty cool thing about Fenrir going against the XB is he cannot do anything. So first of all, XB is not a good character. Don't play him. Second of all, don't play him against Fenrir. Fenrir Brutalized doesn't get canceled by your twirly whirly dash. So that means I can brutalize you all the time. Say you're Neath and you backflip, my brutalize stops. You're Anher, you're whatever, like my brutalize stops. So a very bad character to be going against. Their buffs are spawning soon. We want to make sure we try to capitalize on these if we can. Always try to do the enemy's buffs if you have an opportunity to. That's a big thing. I say all the time. It separates the pros from the guys that are okay. Put pressure on the enemy's buffs. Well, if you know the timers, do it. They may not know the timers. Whatever. Ramen wants the speed buff really bad. He has the right idea, but we don't have almost any vision, and so they could all be here. Sure enough, they are all here. This is the ADC lane. We have been doing very well, and I can't really do anything to help this poor guy out. But he has gotten away all by himself because he is amazing. I'm not exactly sure how he did it. I was scared and running away, but good for him. Grabbing Poseidon, forcing him to use his bead. Nemesis goes ahead and ults. I can jump over the wall and put pressure back onto this. Getting a lot of pressure onto the Neja. I've got to be careful myself because there are a lot of people here. But I want to stick around just in case a bunch of characters get low and I can maybe finish them off. Like I said earlier, XB's Twirly Whirly does not stop my ult or my brutalize, which means as he goes and does it, I can brutalize him and kill him. It does more damage to him than his Twirly Whirly is going to do to me. So at this point in the game, you can see I finished up my sovereignty and I had about 1,000 gold left over. So I had some options. I could have started working into a Magi's Blessing, a Void Shield, a Shifter Shield, whatever it may be. But with that amount of gold, as far as team fights go, you want to look for an active. 900 gold for an active is going to do a lot more for you than anything else will. What's the best active in this case? Well, they don't have any healing, so I don't need Creeping Curse. I don't need a Heavenly Agility. They don't have like a Bastet. We don't need to get away from the Bastet cats. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the Shell. This, with my Sovereignty, is going to be about 65 protections for my team for the duration of the Shell, which is about 5 seconds, plus 15% damage reduction flat on top of that. Using that active during a key team fight, say the Poseidon ult's about to go off, I pop Shell, they take a ton of less damage from the Shell, assuming they don't Aegis it or whatever. One of the best actives in the game if you can properly time it. This X-Blanc just wants to get some farm, but I just want to farm some X-Blanc, and so I am putting this pressure on him. You can see I am full defense spec right now, and my 1-3 combo got him down to about 30 to 40% hit points, which means my Rama can just easily come in and clean up. The Awilix is trying to come in here. I saw her on the mini-map, which means I can scare her off, block her away from that, giving us an easy tier 2 tower. Fun little fact about playing an assassin support, you actually have pretty good tower damage. Not like the best tower damage, but you have better tower damage than, say, a support, like a Guardian. We see the Osiris is teleporting in on the ward. He's obviously the only person on the map that's going to have a teleport to ward. I very quickly leave my Rama. I didn't even realize that the Rama cannot jump over the wall. I pop him Shell. That's all I can really do at this point, and now I'm trying to put some pressure on now that our Nemesis is here. They do not have their tier 2 tower, which means that this is not necessarily a bad fight, so I want to look for a re-engagement if we can get everybody here. I get my 5th attack off, so I get my runes up, and I land a 3-man stun. This is going to allow us to get a ton of initiation onto their team. Nemesis looking for some cleanup kills. The Neja is going to try to ultimate away, but Agni dashing in front of him, stopping the Neja ultimate, probably an accident. Doesn't make it not really cool, though. His dash to Neja dash, and then it stopped everything. Super cool play, actually. A team putting a lot of pressure over in the right lane. That's not necessarily the right call here. I tell them, let's attack the middle lane. We can get this tier 2 tower. We have NPCs here. Even with 2 down, we're not going to be able to force down a Phoenix. Our NPCs weren't close enough. It's a Phoenix, and it's 18 minutes in. You got to be really far ahead, and we're not that far ahead. Grabbing this tier 2 tower relatively easily, but I also want to make sure to help out my team. The Nemesis seems to be in trouble. Trying to use my jump at the right time, use it right here on this X-Blanc, and X-Blanc is going to be, once again, a free kill. He cannot get away from Fenrir. You can't put any more emphasis on it that XB is a bad character to go against Fenrir. He's a bad character. Flat. Especially against Fenrir. Alright, there we go. Thinking about what item to get next here, the executive's decision ends up being a Void Shield. Of course, a couple of wards to get wards on the Fire Giant if I need it. Why Void Shield? Well, looking at their team comp, XB, Neja, Osiris, or Willix. First of all, they have 4 physical damage characters, right? This is going to give me a physical defense, as well as Pen. Why the Pen? We have Rama. Rama's fed. Rama fed endgame plus Aura Pen. Good for him. Nemesis takes away people's armor. On top of that, the Aura taking away their armor flat is going to make that Pen even more. As well as on their team, their only magical damage is Poseidon, and the Poseidon got farmed early game. He was only level 15. That's 3 levels behind our Agni. Not worried about his damage whatsoever. Me and Osiris chilling out here like, hey dude, what's up? Except for I'm coming for you. It's the fake jump party. I'm just kidding. You're Osiris. You're gonna be fine. You're cool. I was just kidding. Just jokes. You can't kill Osiris. Or can you? Jokes. Going for this Poseidon here in the back. I try to land my Brutalize on him as he's coming into the jungle. I should have just saved it. I tried to make a cool play right there. But it didn't happen. End up just being lame. So I'm going to grab this Neja, bring him back here. There was nobody else in my range to grab. We have to be kind of careful here. This is not the best fighting position for us, and we're having a weird engagement here. The Rama getting decently low. He has the majority of our damage, and we need him to live. He just gets out of that Poseidon ult in time, which is good. The Neja wasting his ultimate on me in the back. No harm, no foul. I'm looking to get out of here, so I'm going to jump over this wall, getting body blocked by minions, so I have to brutalize out of those. But Afro Nemesis is a pretty gnarly combo. They are going to go ahead and be able to clean this up. The Afro heal plus Nemesis shield healing herself makes it very difficult to kill her. I already have a sentry ward on the Fire Giant, so I don't need to get another sentry. I can go ahead and get a regular ward just to put that out. Fire Giant is coming to mind right now. We only have 3 of us up, but they only have their Poseidon. They have no real damage. But it's safer to just go ahead and attack the left lane. They only have Poseidon, and we have the Nemesis Afro. I'll be there in just a moment. This is going to be the safer play here than going for, say, an FG with no real damage. Without our Rama up, it'd be too difficult. Jumping over the wall so I can help them with this tower. We can go ahead and finish that off with no problem. This gives us now about a 10k gold lead. That's a very significant gold lead at 21 minutes in. At any time in the game, really, 10k gold lead is a big thing. So what do? Now? We take their buffs. Always looking to take buffs at all times during the game. Jumping over the wall again, leaving my Afro behind. Once again, I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. I should probably help them out. Going back in, we're looking to get some damage on this Osiris. He is really low, but I am blind. I can't see anything. Who did I pick up? I picked up the Willix. That is fine. Let's go ahead and kill her. That works for me. Looking to get a stun onto them. I get a double stun. This Poseidon is relatively low, but the Neja is once again going to bring me out of this fight. Neja keeps ulting me over and over. That is fine for me. Not a big deal. I would rather him ult me than anybody else. I'm going to die here, but my Afro is going to get away. That's more important. I do have to be careful because the Fire Giant is up. They're relatively low. My team is back up, but they could go for a Fire Giant right here now that I have died. Rama soloing the Gold Fairy because he can. They're pretty scared right now to necessarily go do a fire. They are still pretty far behind 10k. If the whole team shows up, my team probably can stop them. Even since they don't have a Hog 3, they can't necessarily steal it, but they can put enough pressure on to get player kills so they can't get the fire anyway. Working my way towards my Magi's Blessing. This is going to be my next major item that I need. I opted for the Void Shield before the Magi's Blessing in this case. Normally I would say get that Magi's Blessing out as fast as you can. It's very important. But the Void Shield in this case was more important. That physical defense stacking is going to be huge for against this specific team comp. We always have to keep in mind that builds are situational. Looking at the team comp of the other team, who is big, what items they are building. Something I brought up the other day on my stream was, why aren't you building health items? I wasn't necessarily building health. I was playing Athena. Well, the other team had Arachne, Osiris, and Apollo. And all three of those were building kin size. Kin size, of course, shredding percentage hit points. So it wasn't efficient for me to get hit point items. I would rather get more physical defense flat items than hit points, and that's going to allow me to be tankier against them than the hit points would, because they are going to shred through the hit points. Osiris kind of out of position over here, using my ultimate so I do not get stunned by the XP or necessarily the Osiris 3. We also pick up another kill onto the Poseidon, trying to help out as Osiris, but he was just too late. Helping people is the demise of many of us in Smite. We want to help, and by helping, we kill ourselves. This should be a pretty free fire giant. You're going to see I've got 5 runes up, and I'm going to use my Searing Howl. Seething Howl, this is because it gives you that lifesteal. That on top of Afro is going to give me a lot of lifesteal. Keeping the pressure on this fire giant, the Neja is trying to come in at just the right time to take it, but he is too late. He's going to go ahead and stand still and accept his demise. He knows that he done goofed, and he's not getting away. He used his ultimate to initiate. At this point, we have their support dead. We are pretty far ahead in gold. We have the fire giant buff, and we can go ahead and start to pressure down a Phoenix. If we can get a couple more kills, we might be able to end the game, but it is safe to just get a Phoenix and back. This should be relatively free. Putting pressure in the back line to get them to go onto me, this means that we get a free Phoenix. No problem. They can't do anything about that. They had to turn on me in the back, otherwise I was going to put too much pressure onto their Poseidon, but that means that the Phoenix was wide open. Using Seething Howl again here, you can see it gives you a lot of physical damage towards the later part of this game. That's when you're going to start using it with 5 runes to give you that physical power buff, so you can do a lot of damage to Phoenixes. Our Agni's getting ganked in the back line, but what's more important in this case, we're looking at a Phoenix instead. The Agni didn't even need our help. He ends up being fine against that Awilix. I try to Poseidon jump away. Unfortunately, I get I tried to Fenrir jump away, but I get stuck in the Poseidon whirlpool, and the Osiris is going to be able to catch up and kill me. But the exchange in this case was support death, third Phoenix. One of those things where always worth it. It will never not be worth it to die for a third Phoenix. Pretty much a Phoenix in general, for that matter. With 3 Phoenixes down and 14k gold up, there is nothing that they can do about this. This game is over. We'll finish up our Magi's blessing, and that is it. This game will go ahead and end ourselves, so we're going to get ourselves into this windscreen. Quick note here at the end, switching out Midas boots there for Warrior Tabai. To get the extra penetration off. I know this game's coming to a close. I no longer need the gold per 5. Now let's get into this. A pretty successful game on Fenrir. You can see that we did quite a bit of damage, even building that tankiness. We did more damage than our ADC, doing 18k damage. We took a ton of damage, the most on our team, and we mitigated the most damage on our team. As we said earlier, the Fenrir really starts off strong. You hit a bit of a downward slope, and then you kind of kick up again at that mid starting to late game. And then once you get very, very late game, you'll start to drop off again. But most of the time, you can finish the game before you ever get there. So no big deal. Getting ahead and taking a look at our final build here, you can see that we ended up switching out our Midas boots for the pen boots towards the end of this game. Grabbing our Sovereignty, our Void Shield, they had very heavy physical damage, the Poseidon wasn't a threat, and of course our Magi's Blessing. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed the videos, please subscribe on YouTube. I make these for you guys, so feel free to request videos on Twitter. And if you ever want to catch me live streaming, that I stream on Twitch, typically from 10 EST to 4 EST Monday through Friday. Have a twitching day, y'all.